And we're here now with one of the newcomers for Georgetown County Council District 3. Mr. Aundry Evans is one of the candidates you'll see on the ballot if you're early voting, or on Tuesday you'll see his name there as well. First of all, thank you for being here today and doing this with us.
Thank you for welcoming me.
So let me ask you first about you are a military veteran.
Right.
Yeah, tell us about your military background.
I served in the Air Force and in the National Guards. In the Air Force, of course, I was an administrative specialist and did a lot of work for all types of maintenance shops and got a lot of exposure and a lot of experience. And a time in which I enjoy and a time in which I look back on and I'm able to see how it helped to prepare me for other aspects of life. So it was a very good and wonderful opportunity to serve.
Mm-hmm. Now, what part of the county do you live in?
I live in District 3. I live out on Pennyroyal Road.
Pennyroyal Road, okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now tell me about your family. You married, kids, anything?
Okay. Well, I've lived in District 3 all of my life, other than when I was in the military, and worked in District 3, retired from a job in District 3. So I'm very, very familiar with the district. My family, I'm married, been married for 48 years.
Wow.
I had four children, 2 boys and 2 girls, and one of them's deceased. But yes, enjoy family life and still living out on Pennyroyal Road.
So you mentioned that one of your children has passed away, and that one unfortunately was a murder that happened. Tell us a little bit about what happened.
Well, of course it happened on Monday night late, and he was
And what year?
in 2008.
Okay.
It was in 2008, and he was at a business in which he was either part owner or owner. I'm not exactly sure of all the details behind it, but gunman came in and shot him, and he died in transit to MUSC. They airlifted him from Georgetown to going to MUSC, and he died on the way.
Did that have any impact about you wanting to get into public service and try to help other people, that incident?
When that happened, I had already begun public service, if you will, from the perspective of I was and am a pastor it was in Georgetown County at the time. I've been in and out, but so I was already involved in public service from that perspective, and so after that, of course, all of my life experiences just came together, and then there is the voice that brought me to this point that I may be able to assist and help others in every walk of life. And this is just a different walk, a different place in life that I can offer myself and offer my service.
Why did you decide you wanted to run for county council this year?
It's been, something that has been speaking to me for years, and I held off, but the time is now. It's a now time, because as I listen to people, citizens from across the county, because as I said, being a pastor and being a pastor in Georgetown County, involved in churches in every corner of the county, I hear a lot. And because I hear a lot, and I'm beginning to understand, and I've been able to witness some of the needs of the people and their thoughts that oftentimes are not expressed in such a way that it gets the attention that it needs. And so that in itself is the driving force, wanting to be a voice for others, is the driving force in which brought me to this point in which I, decided to throw my name in the ring and to offer myself for the service.
Now, in talking to others or just things you have seen yourself, are there any particular specific issues that you feel need to be addressed in the next 4 years?
There are issues that need to be addressed, and they are many, and people just don't know, what to do and how to get them addressed. There are some issues that's been around for years, and still there has not been any answers to the needs. Services that are needed in some area that's been out there for years, and still there's no answer of time or when it will be addressed. And when you start asking about particular needs, not to try to cast a negative light on any of the work that's already been done, but when we look at parts of Sampit, which is in District 3, they've been trying to come up with a method or a way to supply sewage in that area for over 10 years. And they haven't really gotten any further than it has since that time. As a matter of fact, what has happened is the cost of the project has doubled over the time in which, they're trying to get funding to do it. And this is just one of the issues that, that's on the top of my head, in which people are really concerned about and have a need, in which in other areas of the county it's being supplied or been supplied, and they feel as if they're being left out. And so and these type issues are issues in which I would try to help to resolve or come up with some way to take care of.
Now, what about the capital project sales tax? Have you been keeping up with that, the committee meeting and putting together the list that will be on the ballot in November if approved by county council?
Yeah.
You've been keeping up with that. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
The list, I know the Sampit sewer project is in there. That's part of it. We'll see if the voters approve the list in November if it's on there. But what's your thoughts on the plan itself?
The plan itself, and what I heard in some of the meetings, it was a very large list of items on, and all of these items certainly would not make the cut. As far as, the sales tax itself, I understand that there's a need for more funding to take care of projects and to get things accomplished, to get things done. But I also understand the need for being accountable for what you've already spending. I'm one who was familiar with budgets and understand how it works, but I'm also one who understands the need to work within the scope of the budget in which you have set, and to take and make decisions on what can and cannot be done, what must be done, and to try to make the best decisions possible for the amount of funds that you have budgeted for certain areas.
Now, based on what you've seen, do you think voters should approve it in November or not?
That's a tough question, and here's why I say it's a tough question. It's not one in which I'll say voters should not approve, but at the same time, I think voters should look within themselves, each individual, to see whether or not that they can afford it. See, one of the things that's happening is the fact that in every part of life, things are increasing. Everywhere you look, the economy is exploding, but those who are working, their income has not exploded. Oftentimes, employers don't have extra money to pay any more than what they're paying. And we can look at the cost of living even right here in Georgetown County and know that a number of our elderly, a number of those who live at and below poverty, there's a large segment. In this county, it's over 15%, which is more than the national average. And so the thing is can you afford it? So you have to, and each individual have to make that decision on their own. If you can afford it, and by all means, I know it's only 2 cents on the dollar, but when you have to make a choice between buying your medication and paying your rent and buying food, every cent counts. So that's where I am with it. It's up to the voters.
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing we hear about, especially in District 3, we hear about it all over the county, but especially in the rural areas of the county, is we need affordable housing. And you know, the houses that are going up all over the place, I couldn't afford, and a lot of people can't afford. We need affordable housing in especially District 3 and other areas. What do you think council should be doing to help make that happen?
Well, as council being a governing body, there's only so much that they can do. But as far as the funds that's available, I think it ought to be put to use rather than sitting there not making decisions. And of course, when it comes to getting things done, you have to be able to network. You have to be able to bring in other sources. And when you look at affordable housing, that's a big issue, because no matter where you are in this county, you'll find that people are struggling, and housing is exploding, and it's not coming down. And so what authority council have as far as utilizing funds that has been designated for affordable housing, it ought to be managed by those who are managers to get the job done.
But do you think council should, one thing, I guess it's in their power, they should zone certain areas to be designated for, affordable housing?
Yes, I think that certain areas should be designated for affordable housing. And one of the main problems is based on how this, especially District 3 is laid out, affordable housing in some areas, if it's zoned or designated for affordable housing, it poses a different problem as far as things like transportation and other things. So it's a big project, and a lot have to be considered before it is designated, or a place is designated or deemed zoned for low-income houses or affordable houses, however you want to say it. But it is something that certainly should be looked at.
Let me ask about something that did happen in the past 4 years in the Lambertown area, the big solar farm that's going to be placed there. A lot of people oppose that, but it's still going to happen. What are your thoughts about the solar farm coming there?
One of the things about the solar farm going there is that those who live in Lambertown, they really opposed that project. There was a large number of them. And I can understand that anytime a project is going into an area, it is good to communicate with the people who live in that area to try to get their opinion and to get them on board with the project. As far as me, myself, I see solar projects going up all over the place. I know that the solar energy is something that we must convert to, but at the same time, in areas that makes it more acceptable versus areas in which people feel as if it's hurting their way of life.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I am.
Now, one thing we heard during the public hearings about the solar farm and about other issues, especially from Lambertown, Sampit, the Saints Delight area, is we heard people they just want their area to stay like it is. They don't want the development happening there. How do you feel about that? Should those areas of the county remain like they are, or should development happen there in those areas?
Now, when we see remain as they are, a lot of those areas are just families who have lived there for years and years, and so what they're looking at is their way of life being interrupted. We know that that's happening. It's coming to the county and other areas. Large projects are being planned, and so when we begin to look at those areas, it is good if indeed there could be some compromise to where parts of the areas could be developed as well, and then parts of the area could be left as is. And compromise is the only way to make it, because face it, whether we want to accept it or not, Georgetown County is changing. The world is changing. The world in which we were born in is no longer the world in which we live in. Right. It changes every day. And we have to be susceptible to changes. We have to be understanding the changes. And I understand that changes impact the lives of others. So therefore, trying to get people on board, communicate with them, and trying to make the best plan for moving forward is always the only thing that you really can do.
And of course, we talk about Andrews, Lambertown, Sampit, Saints of the Light, but District 3 also covers, the South Island Road area, parts of Maryville, and those areas. Those are the areas we're seeing a lot of changes in right now, a lot more development. Do you like what you're seeing happen in that part of the district, or?
Well, when we look at those areas and we understand what is happening and from the standpoint of developments are already in those areas, they're already in those areas, so you are developing those areas even further. And your question to me was, do I like what is happening? I like it from the standpoint of knowing that the county is moving forward, but by the same token, growth must be controlled. And in order for growth to be controlled, somewhere things will have to match up. In other words, the infrastructure has to match up with the growth, and so on that South Island area, the South Island Road right in there, that's a lot of people in a small area. And so this is kind of where I am with that. It's a hard pill.
Now, one topic we hear about a lot is crime, and the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office, of course, covers most of the District 3, but you also have Andrews, that has the Andrews Police Department. One thing we've heard from time to time from people is, especially when there's been the times that the Andrews Police Department did not have a police chief for a while, we've heard that maybe the Sheriff's Office should just take over the patrolling and the servicing Andrews and not have an Andrews Police Department. What are your thoughts about that? Should it remain an Andrews Police Department, or should the county take it over?
As long as Andrews has a township, I think that they ought to take care of that. I mean, that's my belief. I don't think that the county can assist as needed, as law enforcement does all over the state. But as a norm, as what's going on there, I think that Andrews should take care of it.
So let me ask you this, whether somebody's early voting between now and Friday, or if they're going to vote on Tuesday, why should they vote for you instead of one of your two opponents?
Well, the reason why they should vote for me versus one of the two opponents is because I know for a fact that I bring a different perspective to the office. And I say that because of experience. The amount of experience that I have that's associated to what goes on within county government the experience itself has positioned me to be an asset. When one comes into a position or one fills a position without having experience, there's a lack of understanding on how things go forth. And having that lack of understanding, often people take what they hear and not investigate for themselves, and they come to a conclusion and they make votes based on what they've heard from others. I take a Nehemiah approach to life. In other words, I get the proper approval, and once I've received the proper approval, then the assets that are needed is often supplied. Then I'm able to do my own research. In doing my own research, then I'm able to ask the right questions. See, when you go into a meeting and you can't ask the right questions, then you're not able to help to frame the direction in which the results are going to go. But if you can ask the right questions, then you could help to resolve or get to a point of resolve that's best for the county. So I bring that many years of experience I have in problem solving, many years of experience I have in relating to people and networking, working with budgets, working with projects from the inception to the completion, and I bring all of that with me when I come to the table, and so that gives me an upper hand, if you will. And the best thing people can do is check the record for themselves. A person's work, follow them. Check out the work, and then make your own decision. That's what I say. So that's why I believe that, if you cast your vote, if you cast your vote for Aundry Evans, you'll be casting your vote for the best person for the job, because it is a job. It's not an adventure. It's not just an opportunity, but it's a job. And the approach that I take is one in which I would work for the people of District 3 and work for Georgetown County.